Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Alexis Faye Yoga. I'm so very glad that you've decided to join me today. Now, for today's class, we will be building up to our half moon pose. So I do highly recommend grabbing a block or a stool that you can set your hand on while we do our balance. So for this class, we'll be really focusing on opening up across the front of the chest, the shoulders, the hips, as well as our balance. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. Roll out your mat, and we'll flow right into it. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another week of yoga. Sending that right foot back. Now we'll start with a little bit of balance. So bringing our feet in towards our mountain pose. We'll turn the palms out in front of the body as we drop the shoulders away from the ears. Closing the eyes, and we'll take a few deep breaths here as we start to notice the bottoms of the feet. As we start to press the toes into the earth and stand tall through the top of the head. Now with our eyes closed, we'll do a little rocking side to side and forward and back, transferring our weight between our feet and moving around as we notice the micro adjustments that our body makes to hold us stable. Now coming back through our more neutral standing pose, we can open the eyes now, and we'll move to our tree pose, shifting our weight into our right foot so that we can pick up our left. We'll lift the left knee up towards the ceiling and hold here. Now reaching that knee up as we're activating our hip flexors. And then we'll rotate the hip open by moving our left knee out towards our side, continuing to hold the knee up. All right, now we can bring the bottom of our left foot to our right leg, wherever that is for you naturally. So it can be up high on the leg, it can be down on the calf. We can even keep our big toes down to help with the balance. We'll take a few moments here, maybe finding a non-moving spot on the floor in front of us, a little dristy to help focus the attention and the balance. Reaching tall through the top of the head as we press down through the toes. From here, we'll remove the bottom of our left foot from our right leg, keeping the knee out to the side. We'll close the hip, reach the knee up tall out in front of the chest. And then we'll set that foot down. Wiggle out the legs. And we'll do our other side, moving our weight into our left foot so we can pick up the right. Press the right knee up towards the ceiling and hold. Now opening the hip towards our side. And we'll move to that tree pose. Bringing the bottom of the right foot to the left leg to a place that feels comfortable to your body. We'll press down through the toes, gripping into the earth. And lifting tall through the top of the head. Focusing the balance with the breath. Now again, we'll remove the bottom of the foot from our leg, keeping the knee out to our side. Then closing the hip, drawing the knee out in front of the chest and up to the ceiling. And then we'll set the foot down and wiggle out. Heel toeing the feet towards the outer edges of the mat. We'll reach the arms out to our T. Spread the fingertips out nice and wide. And we'll find some happy elephants, twisting in one direction, then through center to the other. Letting the arms sway side to side as we warm up the shoulders, the hips, the spine. And move the body around. Letting the arms run out of momentum, we'll come to rest by our side. With an in-breath, lift the arms up to the ceiling. With our exhale, we'll drop the hands to the shoulders. Now, trying to keep the hips where they are, facing the top of our mat, we're going to think rib cage as we open to our side. Come through center, open to the other side. So hips stay forward. We're just moving from the upper body. So it may not be much of a twist, and that is okay. And we're trying to keep the front of the chest open and wide, so we're not collapsing or rolling forward as we're twisting. We're keeping the shoulder blades pressed in towards the spine. And back through center again. We'll drop the arms down and give them a wiggling out. And then with our next in-breath, we'll lift to the ceiling. Exhale, sweep the arms out to the sides as we bow our chest forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. We'll take a little bit of time here to play around with our forward fold. Pedaling out the legs. Or grabbing for opposite elbows and swaying the upper body side to side. And with another in-breath, we'll halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Reverse swan dive the arms. We'll lift up from the chest, reach the arms up to the ceiling. And drop the arms down again. Taking a couple deep breaths as we wiggle out and make our way to the top of our mat. Again, with an in-breath, we'll lift to the ceiling. Exhale, hinging from the waist, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, plant the hands down. We'll step or hop the feet back to our plank. Spread the fingertips out nice and wide. We'll grip into the earth as we start to shift further forward. Exhale, squeeze the elbows in as we chaturanga to our up dog or to our cobra. Then we'll send the hips up and back behind for a down dog. And do some wiggling out here. Dropping the knees down to the mat, we'll shift forward and then walk the knees a little further apart, bringing big toes into touch. And we'll slide our right hand underneath of the chest. Now with a nice big in-breath, we'll reach the left arm up to the ceiling. And with our exhale, we'll thread the needle, pressing our left hand as far to our right side as we can before we bring the shoulder and side of face down. Now pressing the right hand into the ground to help us twist a little further. We'll press into the right hand a little more to help lift the body. Give us space to unthread the left. And then we'll bring the left down. Full breath in and out to reset. And with our next in-breath, we'll reach the right arm up. Exhale, we'll thread the right arm through as far to our left as we can. Bring the shoulder and side of face down. And press into the left hand. Now pressing further into that left to give us a space to untwist, lifting the right arm up, and we'll plant it down underneath of the chest again. And now slide the right knee in line with the right hand. We'll extend the left leg back behind, dropping the inside of the foot down. So we can be in line from our hand all the way out through our heel of our left side. Or we can pivot our right foot so the toes are behind us to help with the balance of this pose. But we're in a variation of our side plank here. And we'll reach the left arm up towards the ceiling. Now engaging through the core, reaching tall with the left hand. Starting to focus on the balance. From here, we'll bring our left hand behind the ear. Now we're not going to press on the head. We're just keeping it back here so we can focus on our left elbow to give us something to focus our attention to. Now we're going to bring our left elbow from stacked over our right hand, all the way out to our side, down towards the floor, looking down at our right hand, and then back up towards the ceiling again. So we're finding a little bit of a crunch or a rolling in, and then lengthening back out. You can move as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. Still focusing on the balance of this pose. And then reaching the elbow up to the sky. Good. We'll reach the elbow back up and then extend the left hand towards the ceiling. Now pressing into our right hand, and we'll start to move to a half moon pose by lifting the left foot up off the mat, balancing here. pointing the toes out in front of the body, reaching the left hand towards the ceiling. And then we'll lower that left leg down. Circle the left hand around. Walk the left knee in, and we'll wiggle out. Now here we can circle our right wrist around. Or we can find some cat-cows. Moving the body around to reset. In whatever way feels right. And we'll do the same on our other side. Planting our left hand down, bring the left knee in line. We'll extend the right leg back behind and set the inside of our right foot down. Now again, we can turn our left toes behind the body to help as our kickstand, or we can have a line all the way down through the arch of our right foot. We'll reach the right hand up towards the ceiling. And we'll hold here. Starting to find our balance on this side, engaging through the core. Then we'll bring our hand behind our ear. Again, we're not pressing on the head. We're just bringing our awareness to our elbow. We'll curl in towards the floor, point the right elbow down to the ground. And then with our inhale, reach the right elbow back up towards the ceiling. Moving back and forth. Noticing the micro adjustments the body makes to keep us balanced here. Really lengthening the elbow up towards the ceiling, long across the front of the chest and the collarbones. And we'll send the elbow back up towards the ceiling. And then lengthen the right hand up, stacking the shoulders. Now pressing down through the left hand. We'll start to lift the right leg up off the mat, pointing the toes out in the same direction as the chest. And we'll lower our right leg down, bring the chest around, and walk the knee in. We'll move to a child's pose from here. And it is personal preference whether you keep the legs together or take the knees to the outer edges of the mat before softening towards the floor. We'll press into the hands to start lifting us up out of our child's pose, walking the knees back in underneath of the body. We'll shift further forward. Exhale, lowering the abdomen down to the floor. And we'll extend our right arm straight out from the shoulder. Drop the front of the shoulder down to the floor. We'll gently press into the left hand and roll the abdomen open to our left side, So we can have our feet stacked on top of each other, or we can lift the left leg off the right, put a bend, and drop the toes down behind the body. Like we're moving through honey, we'll slowly start to roll back to the mat, fully softening the chest to the floor before we bring our right hand in and extend the left hand out, palm down, drop the front of the shoulder. We'll press into the right as we twist open. And again, nice and slow. Take your time getting back to your abdomen. We'll slide the left hand in and then bring the forearms down in front of the body. Press into the hands. We'll move to our Sphinx pose. So we're grounding our tops of feet into the earth, the palms into the earth, forearms to the ground, and we're lengthening up through the crown of the head, shining the chest forward. From here, we're going to rock to our right side so that we can draw our left knee up towards the mat beside us. We can have our toes pointed down to the back of the mat or out to our side. Now from here, we can stay up on our forearms. We can drop the chest down and turn the head in one direction or the other. Or we can find a slight thread of the needle by extending our left hand palm up over to our right side and then softening the side of face down. If we have threaded our left arm through, we'll come back through center and we can move back to our Sphinx pose. Now this may be enough for your back to start to feel the pose, or maybe we can plant the hands down and find a little more of a cobra pose with the spine by pressing the hands into the floor, hips down towards the earth. Exhale to lower down. We'll rock slightly to our right side to bring our left knee back and around. And then we'll rock the hips side to side a little to help us reset through the low back. And back to our Sphinx pose. We'll slide slightly to our left so we can draw our right knee up, pressing the hips into the earth. And again, we can soften the chest down. We can stay up in our Sphinx pose, or we can thread our right arm through, palm up to the ceiling and soften down. Now, if we have threaded our right arm through, we'll unthread it, move back to our Sphinx. And again, we have the option to press the palms into the floor to lift the chest a little higher, still sending the hips down to the earth. And we can lower back down and slide our right leg in. Bringing the hands closer to the chest so we can lift onto our knees. Now, those were half frog poses. Now we'll start to move to our full frog. And it may be more comfortable to keep one knee on your gripping mat and one knee on your floor beside you, or maybe on a blanket. But we'll let the knees slide away from each other in a controlled and careful manner before we bring our forearms down to the floor. Now, depending on how flexible the fronts of your hips are, you may be up nice and tall like this. And maybe grabbing a pillow to sit on top of will be a little more comfortable to you. Now, this may not be comfortable at all, and you may prefer to move back to a wide-legged child's pose instead. If that's the case, bring your toes in together and send your weight back into your legs. Or we can keep our weight a little further forward, pressing those hips into the floor, bringing our calves parallel to each other. Now, whichever variation we're taking, we'll press into the hand, shift forward, and start to squeeze the legs in together. We'll come into a tabletop pose. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, press through the tops of the feet. With an in-breath, we'll lift the eyes and the tailbone up, lowering the stomach towards the floor. With our exhale, we'll curl into center, arching up through the mid-back, moving back and forth with the breath. And back to our tabletop. We'll walk the hands into the body so we can sit on the heels for a little bit. Now again, if this is uncomfortable in your body, grab for your block and you can sit on the block instead. We'll reach both arms up to the ceiling. With our exhale, we'll drop one hand down, reach the other in the same direction over the body. We'll cartwheel the arms, drop the opposite hand down, reach up and over. And we'll move back and forth with our side stretch. Reaching out with the top hand. And we'll lift back up through standing again. Bringing the hands out in front. Tuck the toes under. We'll send the hips up and back behind for our down dog. Wiggling out through the legs. And we'll extend our left leg up and back behind three-legged dog. We'll circle the ankle out in one direction. And then around in the other. Drawing our left foot forward. And setting it down on the top of our mat. We'll shift the hands a little ways out in front of our left toes. Shifting forward and back a few times. To give us momentum to pop us up to our warrior 3. Now we can keep our fingers down to the floor, or we can lift them up to the chest. And then we'll flex through the foot. And try and open the hips a little further towards our right side so our toes point out towards our right. Now we can rotate the hips closed and set our right foot down beside our left. Inhale, lifting up to standing. And with our exhale, we'll drop the hands and wiggle out. With an in-breath, lifting tall to standing, reach the hands to the sky. Exhale, hinging from the waist, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands down, step, hop, or float the feet back to our plank. We'll shift forward. Chaturanga to lower to our up dog or our cobra. And then to our down dog. Wiggling out some more. And then we'll send our right leg up and back. Circle the ankle out in one direction. And around in the other. And then we'll send that right foot to the top of our mat. Setting it down. Shifting the hands a little further out in front of the toes. And we can find a forward and back movement to help us lift the left leg off the mat. Warrior 3. From here we have the option to lift the hands up off the floor, or to keep the fingertips down. But then we'll try and open the hip slightly, flexing through our left foot and moving the toes out to our left side. Closing the hip, point the toes down to the floor. And we'll bring the left foot in beside the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. We'll drop the arms straight down from the shoulder, letting them be like wet noodles. We'll drop the top of the head to the floor, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Releasing out the whole of the upper body. We'll add a little more bend to the knees. And starting at the lowest point of our spine, we'll make our way to standing, ragdolling, or rolling our way up our spine. We can find some shoulder rolls or some shrugs at the top of our roll, wiggling out through the body. Now we'll move to a little more balance, moving our weight into our left foot so we can pick up our right, moving to that tree pose. And this time really focusing on opening across the front of the hips and the chest. So our left shoulder and our right knee are pulling away from each other so we can open across the front body. Now we can reach the hands up to the ceiling, out to our sides, or down to the floor, away from the body. Focusing on that length across the front body. Removing our right foot from our left leg, we'll bring our left hand over to our right knee, bringing it towards our left side, and we'll find a standing twist from here, extending our right hand back behind the body, and taking the eyes to look back at those right fingers. Now from here we have an option to grab for the toes instead, or we can hold the knee and twist open to our side. And then we'll start to bring the chest and shoulders around and to lower our right leg, wiggling out and moving our weight to our right side, picking up our left tree pose here. And then sending our right shoulder and our left knee back. Removing the bottom of our left foot from our leg, we'll take the right hand over, bring the leg across the chest, open the left shoulder back behind. Standing twist. Rotating the shoulders back to the front, letting go of the leg, and we'll set it down. Now we'll grab for our block or for our prop, placing it into our right hand. We'll scoot back on our mat, placing our right toes down so they're pointed to the top of our mat. We'll hinge here and then drop the block down about the same distance from our shoulder and hip will be the block to our foot. Now pressing the hand into our block, and we'll just start to open the chest to our left side. Now we can always keep the toes of our left foot down as our kickstands. We'll drop our left hand down to the floor, reach it out to the side, and then reach it up to the ceiling so we have a nice stack to the shoulders. And then from here, we can stay with our left foot on the floor, or we can start to lift the left foot, point the toes out to our left side of the mat, finding a non-moving spot on the floor to help focus the balance. And then we'll bring the arm and the foot back around towards the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and we'll wiggle out through the legs. We can wiggle out through the arms. And start to make our way back up towards standing. Continuing to wiggle out. We'll grab for that block again, this time in our left hand. We'll point our left toes towards the top of our mat. Bringing the block in our hand out in front of those toes so we can press the hand into the earth. Keeping our right toes back, toes pointed down to the floor to help us our kickstand. We'll drop the right shoulder, right hand down to the floor beside our block. And then we'll start to rotate the chest and shoulder towards open to our right side. Again, we can stay here, or we can start to lift our kickstands up off the floor, opening the hips out to our right side, pointing the toes to the right side of our mat, stacking the shoulders, and finding our non-moving spot on the floor to help focus the balance. We'll start to rotate the body back towards the floor. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale to fold, and we'll wiggle out through the legs some more. We'll wiggle through the hips and the upper body. And we'll start to make our way back towards standing. And from here, we can either move to our mountain pose, or we can lay down on the floor in our Shavasana. We'll take a few moments to bring our attention to our breath and allowing all of that goodness from our practice to soak in. Closing the eyes. We'll take some deep breaths here. With each exhale, slowing the breath a little further. Taking the breath a little deeper and fully letting go of our exhale before we start fresh with a new breath in. We'll bring in another large breath through the nose and release the breath from the mouth as a sigh. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It is always such a joy and an honor to get to spend this time with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Go in love, go in light, go in peace, and go in joy.